And welcome to ESO Daily. I'm your host, and today we're going to be doing an update on the Dragon Priest build, or otherwise known as the Dragon Knight Healer or DK Healer. So I've kind of been, so I got a couple of builds to be posted in the next 2 or 3 days and updates. So major thing I want to go ahead and do though first is cover the Dragon Knight Healer, because we've made a lot of changes since the One Tamriel update. So first and foremost here, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into the character sheet. Okay, so basically what we're looking at here is max magicka at 39,431. It's slightly under the 40k mark. Now keep in mind, Dragon Knights don't have any passives that will actually boost their stats, so as far as max magicka and spell power, but what they do get is a crit increase to the passives. So as you can see, my crit is 51.9 and I don't have crit gear on. I will be covering that. My maximum magical recovery at the moment is 1223. I'm actually trying to up my support to get an extra 5%, and that'll push it over 1300. And the way I've allocated the points is I'm running 58 into magicka and 6 into health. Now, I always would suggest staying around the 20k health mark. It's just a nice cushion even for your vet trials. Okay, so this guy is set up for vet trials. So I have run him in trials, and pretty much is what he's built for. He complements Templar healers very well. So I love this healing build. By the way, I actually want to give a shout out to an anonymous player for actually messaging me in my PSN and giving me compliments about this build. I really appreciate it. I'm glad it helps out a lot of people, and there are more people trying the Dragon Knight Healer. So, and I ran some vets yesterday, and a couple of people are always shocked when they see the Dragon Knight and see that it works. But, you know, once again, all the credit goes to the devs, because the devs make this possible. So kudos, devs. Keep up the good work. I really appreciate it. So as far as the Mundus goes, we're running the Ritual. The reason why we're not running the Thief, we're over the 50% mark, and with igneous weapons, it'll throw our crit higher. We don't want to suffer diminishing returns. We do not want to go ahead and ignore that. If you put into the Thief, your base heals will go down. If you're under the 50% mark as a healer, I would always suggest you get the Thief, because crits can heal. Heals can crit, and that is significant. Okay, I also have the Major Prophecy buff because I am DK. Alright. Prophecy buff also with my Inner Light. These two don't stack, but Inner Light gives me max magicka. So even though it shows both, it doesn't stack. Okay, so keep that in mind. As far as the food goes, okay, what I'm running for food, somebody had asked me one time. I never even think about covering this, but I run the melon baked Parmesan. Gives me max health and max magicka. I don't run triple statted food, because even though it gives you stamina, you actually lose out on some of your max health and max magicka. For me personally, I don't need the stamina. So okay, now as far as the gear layout goes, we are running the Seducers, the Sentinel, and Spell Power Cure. Okay, so I'll cover each of these pieces piece by piece. Starting off with the ring, Spell Power Cure, it is enchanted 174 spell damage, arcane. Another Spell Power Cure 174 arcane. Spell Power Cure necklace 174 arcane. You cannot get these in healthy, at least I've never seen them. If they were, I'd probably opt for one healthy, but unfortunately just drop all arcane. Shoes of Seducers. Now here's the main thing I want to point out. You don't have to go with the Seducers as a trial healer. You have a lot of options unless you're a Nightblade healer. Nightblade healers are very limited because their siphons heals scale off of damage. They need a crit set. Over with, done. They don't run the Ritual because once again they have to deal damage. A sorcerer healer would actually probably run the Thief depending on the gear setup. If they have a crit setup, then they could go with the Ritual as well. Okay, so there's those. Alright, so I just wanted to cover that. You can actually opt to use a ton of different sets to supplement Seducers. You can use the Worm, the Lich. You can also use Twilight's Remedy, Habit, Mending. So there are a lot of options to pair with Spell Power Cure. A lot of people like the Infallible Ether to push out damage and increase their healing proc. Unfortunately, I don't like to do that as on my healer because I like the regen, because I like to always keep my regen high. Now, if you have a high-end regen, you want to run Infallible Ether, by all means, go ahead. Is it a necessity as a healer? No, not really. So, just going to put that out there. You know, you have a lot of options. The only reason I like to run Seducers is because I can craft the Nirnholm Staff. The Nirnholm will out-heal Powered. If you're going with any other set that's dropped, you would want the Powered Staff. Do not go Sharpened. Please don't do that as a healer. It drops your healing. You're not dealing damage as a healer, unless you're a Nightblade. So, Powered's going to be your best selection if you're not running crafted set. If you're running a crafted set, go with the Nirnholm. As you can see, I run Nirnholm Staff and also Nirnholm Swords. My enchant on this is Return, and this one is Increase and Increase. Well, of course, I got to kudo that one. This one right here. So it's recruited at the moment. Now, typically, I'm against monster sets. Okay? The reason being, because when you put a monster set on, you're going to go ahead and drop, when you're using the set, I'm not talking about individual pieces. When you use a set, your initial heals will drop. Okay? But you're going to gain a proc effect. The reason we opted for the Sentinel for this is because DKs lack utility. Now, you can go ahead and grab Neurotic Orb, which I do have slotted for Magicka utility. And I always usually run that. I have ran that for months. Some people are just now posting it. I don't know where they've been, but healers usually. But obviously, I've opted for this one because when you heal a friendly target, you have a 10% chance to summon a Dwemer Spider that heals for 1,433 health and restores 524 stamina to you and your allies within 5 meters every second for 8 seconds. It can occur every 15 seconds. This is a big boost to your trial team because not only are, Templars having to throw out shards, but this little Dwemer is going to give another utility for your party members. It's true, you're going to go ahead and sack some of your healing for the proc effect, but the proc effect for the DK makes it well worth it. I typically wouldn't suggest running this set on a Templar. Templars have shards, so they're really not needing it. So there's a lot of different options. If you don't want to use this set, you can go with 2 different monster sets to stack the max Magicka. For example, you can use the Infernal Guardian. Now, I have this in Sturdy, but you can get it in Infused, because Infused pieces are kind of important because that's giving your sustainability. But what this really does is it adds 933 max Magicka, and then you can go with the Shoulders of Molokina or vice versa, and that helps you out. Now, keep in mind that if you're running 2-drop sets, you really want to get your head and your shoulders in medium and heavy. The reason being, so you can go ahead and maintain your Undaunted bonus, which gives you an additional 6% towards all of your max stats. That's kind of imperative, okay, when you're running trials. Now, as I've said, I have an infused head. At the moment, I have the Divine Spell Power Cure Jerkin. It isn't wanting to drop infused. Ideally, though, I would go infused, and hence why this isn't gold yet, because I'm trying to obtain the infused Jerkin, but it's being a little stubborn. Okay, I have the Divine Shoulders, I have the Divine Waist, I have the Divine Hands, and I have the Infused Pants and the Divine Feet. So once again, this is how we cover our basics. It helps with sustainability, and the Divines are always going to help us with, our ritual. When we take a look at the skills, it's kind of important here. Now, I run this setup pretty much on majority of my healers. Healing Ward. Healing Ward is a huge lifesaver in mitigating effect for any scenario. If someone's close to death, this little bubble is going to save their ass. Always. Always, 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 it's going to save them. So I cannot stress the importance of Healing Ward. Now in trials you might not want to run Healing Ward, but you can go ahead and take that out if you would like and run another heal or another utility. But typically I always like the Healing Ward, especially with the DK, because the DK's primary concern as its healing function is mitigating effects. It does a great job healing, but it mitigates way more than what most people would take in consideration, and Healing Ward is a mitigating effect as well as a heal. Healing Springs, we all know this. If you're a healer and you haven't ran Healing Springs, you probably are new to the game or you're just stubborn. But Healing Springs is great for your party, especially if they're grouped up and everything's concentrated. It keeps the heals and it's going to go ahead and restore to your magicka. Combat Prayer, I cannot stress enough the importance of this heal. This heal is not only going to heal, but it's going to give all of these buffs to your party. It's going to give the resistance, and it's going to go ahead and give combat buffs. Very, very important. Cauterize. This is important for a DK, okay? A lot of people say DKs can't heal. I beg to differ. Cauterize is huge because it's a hot that keeps pushing out heals as you're going along, and it also, while slot, is going to give you the major prophecy, increasing the critical rating, and that's why we're hitting over the 50% mark. On the ultimate, I'm running Reviving Barrier. Reviving Barrier is huge because this gives 10% towards our regen. Now at the moment I only have 5, but for me this is very, 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 very important, because even if I don't use it in a trial, because most of the time I'm going to be using the Warhorn, this is major because this recovery is going to be essential into making sure you don't bottom out. On the back bar, Igneous Weapons. Now if anybody else has this slotted, go ahead and tell them to unslot it so they can, if they're a tank, they can use another mitigating effect. If they're DPS, they can use another DPS effect. As a healer, your main objective is to heal and buff. So Igneous Weapons is going to go on the DK healer. It's going to go ahead and buff our party, and along with Combat Prayer, and that's really going to benefit the entire party over and over again, and it has a long duration. Okay, we use Igneous Shield. Igneous Shield, once again, is a must-have for the DK healer. The reason being, it gives you major mending. So it's going to increase your healing capability for 25%. Now keep in mind, when you do heavy attacks, you're going to go ahead and heal the party 30% of the damage inflicted by your staff and also obtain major mending that way. But for the DK, this works out really good because it's also giving the allies in you an absorption shield. Okay? And if your tank has that slotted, have them take it out because it's not mitigating as much as the DK's is. So, heads up. Obsidian Shard. Once again, DKs can't heal. I beg to differ. Obsidian Shard is great because it acts as an interrupt, and it's also going to heal you or a nearby ally for 9,823 health. It's really, really great heal, instant heal for you or your party members. And like I said, that interrupt definitely comes in handy, especially when you're facing Drainos and the tank gets tethered and you need to get that mob off of him. Throw the Obsidian Shard. Works every time. Neurotic Orbs, once again, no brainer. It's going to go ahead and replenish, our magickas. It acts as an AoE, and it's going to increase magicka DPS as magicka. That's a little tongue twister. Inner Light is on both bars. Okay, and of course we have the aggressive Warhorn. In trials we blow this all the time. In dungeons it's situational. So if everything kind of gets a little hectic, drop the Reviving Barrier. Without my buff, I'm mitigating 38,000 damage. With the buff, I'll go ahead and mitigate over around about 40. Okay, so there's that setup as it is. Now, like I said, guys, for a DK, you have a lot of options. So I'm never going to tell you guys that one thing is better than another. But the most important aspect is knowing your rotation. No matter what build you're going to run for the DK, understand that Igneous Shield is going to be a must for you. Obsidian Shard should always be being used, and Cauterize. Those are the 3 main functions of the DK healer. Okay? So when we take a look at the champion points, and we'll get into this. We have 78 into Blessed. That's up to 21%. We never put 100 because the reason being we don't want to suffer diminishing returns. We can allocate those points somewhere else that's needed. We put Elfborn up to 12.5. Since our crit is over 50%, we definitely want to make sure we're getting a significant amount of crit. Increasing our crit capabilities on our heals. Elemental Defender, it's only at 7.5. The only reason being it's, helps increase the staff damage or any damage from like Obsidian Shard or something. Staff Expert, where I got up to 10%. Reason being, the more we're dealing damage with the staff, the more it's going to heal for. And because of that, we do have also put 10% into Precise Strikes. When it comes over to here, we got 12 in the Ironclad. It just reduces, the duration of any snares, fears, or stuns. And then we put that up to about 5.6. Now, I am a Dunmer. So if I wasn't a Dunmer, I would actually tell people to allocate and you go Vampire. Because I'm a Dunmer Vampire. If you go Vampire, you can completely negate the negative fire effect into Elemental Defender by going 100. It's the only time I would recommend capping into anything. That if you're going to go Vampire and you're not a Dunmer, please, please, please use Elemental Defender to your advantage. Okay, but since I am a Dunmer, I go 17.5, and since I'm a healer, I can mitigate some of that extra fire damage. Hardy reduces the poisons, disease, and physical damage. We got that up to about 12.5, and Thick Skin I only got about 3%. It just reduces any damage over time effects that I might be taking. Okay.
Can you level me up?
Can I level you up? I don't know about that. Bastion. Bastion's great because this is the key element to the Dragon Knight Healer. The Dragon Knight Healer mitigates a lot of damage with the Major Ward and the Obsidian Shield. So we want to pump this up. We look at 19.5, and this is the bread and butter of the DK Healer. You really want to push this up, but once again, you don't want to put into all of it because of diminishing return. Quick Recovery, 1.9. I'm healing, so I just put a little bit in there. Since I am a vampire, it helps me. Okay? Magician, we actually put quite a bit into this, reducing the cost for 14%. You're a healer. You're going through a lot of spells, and rotation can be fast at sometimes.
In horny beep boop.
Okay. So, once again, this is very important for you. And the Arcanist. Arcanist is looking at 19.5 for Magicka Recovery. And when we take a look at Healthy is great because, as a vampire, I want to go ahead and kind of mitigate that as well because we suffer, that effect as well. So just put a couple points in there. Tenacity, we're doing a lot of weaves. So we have 5.5 into Tenacity. I put 1 into Tumbling just for a case of rolls. And I got 1 into block costs just to put the point in there. Okay? So there it is, pretty much in a nutshell, how we do the allegation of, how everything works out. So once again, guys, this works out really great for the DK. I'm actually going to go ahead and queue up. I'm going to see what dailies we got, queue it up, and show you guys how the build works. I actually, once again, I really appreciate all of you guys who, really take notice of the Dragon Knight Healer. It's coming into its own. It's finally getting some recognition, and it deserves to, but it's not credited to me. It's credited to the devs. Once again, the devs do
Can you level me up, PLZZ?
The devs do a great job, once again, putting each class, the capability of them playing every role. And I appreciate that, what the devs bring to this game. Said that time and time again. So once again, devs, great job. And I know, I want to say Blackheart Haven's the one. That one's a nightmare on bet. I mean, if people don't know the mechanics, everything's going to get messed up a lot. So you really, really need to watch out for, what you're getting with random pugs. Alright, here we go. I don't know what she's got for the daily, but we'll check it out.
Armored Elden Hollow.
The devs are just beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop beep.
And as you guys can see, I definitely have haters. You know, I love my haters actually. So, alright, let's go in here. We'll just run up the vet. Alright. And as you guys can tell, I do stream live. I do not pre-record any of this. To me, anybody can pre-record anything and make themselves look good. To me, I definitely don't want to do that. Let's make sure it's 1. I definitely don't like to do that. I want to make sure everybody's seeing it for what it is. And give it the viability that it deserves. This one should be pretty cake. There we go. As a healer, I get pretty good Q times. You know, it was kind of interesting because I was on the Nightblade healer, and we still had players who think that Nightblades don't heal, and it was just
I'm
a
not
pug.
a hater, I just hate devs, their juice beep boop beep.
Oh, okay. I believe it. I believe you completely. So once again, I'm gonna go ahead and reapply my food buff just to make sure everything's up. All right. Now, when you see the hands glow white, that's the indication of the spell power cure buff. So now, once again, guys, this is a pug. I don't know what I'm rolling with. You know, but once again, I like to do, when I'm doing videos,
I hate juice beep boop beep boop beep boop beep.
Definitely show, we got somebody under 17, 1% 23. That's the tank? 20, okay. It's kind of interesting. Definitely going to tie up my resources with him being at such low life. Now, you guys want to look out for the Sentinel when it pops out. It acts just like the Guardian set, where it'll open up and the Dwemer will come out. Except instead of the bot, it'll be the spider.
Nickel nickeling niggard nickel nickeling niggard nickel nickel.
Hey, now, you know, I'm going to go ahead and shut off the commentary if you say any other profound racist comments, and I will report you.
Nickeling niggard nickel beep boop beep boop beep.
I'm hoping that fixed that issue.
Don't slow down now.
You know, I don't care if you want to be stupid, but don't say anything that's crude or obscene in a racist comment.
Intruders.
Okay?
Death to them.
I have no tolerance for that. No one can hear you. You've been blocked.
Burn it!
Once again, I am sorry, guys. I do usually typically like some feedback when I'm playing. You can see there's the Dwemer. But I don't appreciate players who are obscene and crude, and I don't appreciate that. But it's definitely nice to go live, because most of the time you can get some nice feedback or questions, and that's why I usually do it. So when somebody asks questions, I can respond to it. And once again, you guys see the Dwemer there. And as you can see, that stun, when I hit him with the obsidian shard, it's going to throw that stun effect. You know, kind of the funny thing about it is a lot of players want to go ahead and criticize me, but as I was saying about the Nightblade, it was kind of funny. I still had players who thought like Nightblades couldn't heal, and actually I run like DSA and stuff with him. I don't use any Maelstrom weapons. Yeah, this tank he's doing a good job taunting. He's just a little squishy. But anyways, so I do have like the staffs and stuff. So I linked the dude the staff, and I'm like, dude, you know, I got this in vet DSA, obviously. And you know, for me personally, it's like I can go ahead and show you guys how all this works. But oh, I'm still in group chat. I'll turn that off, everybody. Sorry if you guys are caught in this. Alright, let me go ahead. I'll just exit the group chat. Anyways, yeah, so, kind of interesting, though, because a lot of people just, they don't know any better. They think that Templars are the only healers, and, you know, they're just ignorant to it. So, I mean, and you can't fix stupid. You can try. And I think that's my frustration for the most part. You know? Definitely want to make sure I keep those buffs up as much as possible. Now, even though Obsidian Shard does have a long duration for the major mending, the shielding will only last as long as it takes the hit. So I usually kind of rotate that in quite frequently.
This is the most bizarre ritual altar.
Now, like I said, typically I do not run any monster sets on my healers. Typically I just refuse. But the Sentinel works out great for the DK healer. The utility is just well worth the sacrifice when it comes to your trial runs. Okay. Once again, guys, if you're trying DK, I would always suggest start off with your normals first and build your way up. You know, that's kind of the key to success in any content you're going to play in this game. I mean, I don't care if you're trying to do vet dungeons, DSA, Maelstrom, or any type of content. You definitely want to be familiar with your rotation, your build. And to me, a lot of people are always going to ask, you know, what's best in slot? To me, I have no opinion on best in slot, because to me there is no such thing as best in slot, because each build differs to each class and to each play style. Of course, there are ways to maximize, you know, better numbers, but once again, it depends. Like my Nightblade healer runs every content. and he doesn't use any trial piece. He doesn't use spell power cure, but he does do a 5/5 switch. It optimizes his healing capability and the damage output as a healer. So once again, everything differs, man, on the gear. Now I have some builds that do run some trial sets. Some do this, some do that. So once again, I'm never going to say one thing is going to outperform another. It just depends on the scenario and what you're needing from that class and that build in, you know, that scenario. Okay. He didn't back out. Okay, in a situation like this, it's best to drop the barrier if you're needing to do the res. Sometimes DPS won't do it, so you'll need to do it. In case that effect drops off like that, okay. We already have the barrier. And of course, none of these guys are actually taking care of those. I'll go ahead and stun that one. Now, even with the best healer, guys, if you don't pay attention to mechanics, you're going to die. If they hit you for over your life, your life amount, you're dead. Nobody can heal that. So you got to take that into consideration and be aware of what's going on in the game mechanics. Now see, the tank can take it. He's got mitigating effect. And there's the Dwemer. It's definitely going to give my tank some more stamina. Okay. Warren's up. Okay. Excuse me. So if anybody has any questions or comments about the Dragon Priest build, please feel free to post. Now in a situation like this, I'm definitely going to hit this barrier. Just going to let the DPS go ahead and take care of these mobs as fast as possible without draining a lot of my resources. Definitely want to always hit that synergy. With the Undaunted passives, you're going to get that max health, stamp, and Magicka recovery for activating synergies. Okay, there's a Dwemer. Excuse me. Oh, what the? thing, I'm gonna activate the barrier. Let him take care of all the ads. Oh. Okay. Wait, they're skipping a boss. Oh, no, 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 DPS, wrong way. Wrong way, Deeps. Sometimes they just go. Hopefully they'll follow. Okay. Dang it. Forget, I'll just meet him on the other side. I'll kite this thing. Sometimes you need to improvise. There we go. Alright. Last boss. Woohoo. Always gets me. That face is awesome. Okay, we're gonna throw the war horn. I'm gonna have to wait till these ads are down. Get him. Okay. Oh, he's got him. I didn't even know if they read the totem. My bad. Oh, snap. There we go. Long bar. Just throw the barrier for a little cushion. Okay. All the buffs are up. And once again, guys, I am sorry that unfortunately you guys aren't able to leave comments or anything at this particular moment. If you have any questions about the build or the rotation, please feel free to leave a comment below, and I will get to it as quick and timely as possible. I swore I got out of that time, but oh well. Warmer. Now, if you don't want to, if you don't have a reviving barrier, you can use the magma shell. In a lot of situations, I will switch out with magma shell. So a magma shell is great for the DK healer as well. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, put a little cushion there until the tank gets up. Once again, 23k health, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I would never roll a tank that low, but... I mean, his mitigating effects is definitely helping him. Almost done. Blow the war horns the last time. Should hit for the final burn. And there it is. I want to thank everybody for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. I will try to get to them in a timely manner. I will be posting a couple new build updates. And keep in mind, guys, once again, there's a lot of things you can do with the DK healer. You don't have to settle for this setup. I just prefer this setup because, once again, I can run the Nirnhone weapons with the seducers. And when I take a look at the back bar, what's really kind of nice is I can run the 5 seducers along with the 5 spell power cure, and I still have the 2 bonus from the monster set. Now on staff side, I don't have the seducers 5th bonus, but I still have 4 of the seducers and the 2 monster sets and the 5 spell power cure. So for me personally, you know, since the One Tamriel and they've introduced jewelry in a lot of these sets, it's given us a lot of different combinations. And like I told another friend of mine when we did vet DSA, like, nobody's doing this any of the arenas anymore because they're double stacking on dual or shield. So and to me, that's the beauty of it. Is that to say that you don't want to run a maelstrom weapon or a master weapon? I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is you have a lot of options in your build now that you don't have to settle for this specific to get end game results. So keep in mind, you have a lot of options. Like I said, you're limited if you're a Nightblade healer because you have to have a crit set and a regen set. But once again, I always want to tell people, you know, just when you're taking a look at your build, just know your rotation, know your skills, know your stat sheet, what you're needing, and try to obtain it the best way possible. I do want to thank everybody for watching, and once again and always, have a nice day.